Well, I've got a little bit more work to do on these oak pieces. This bit here has got quite a bit of worm in it. I don't know if you can see back here, probably. It's not really focusing very well there, but it's a bit of sapwood on the edge of that board, and I want to get rid of that. It's not going to leave me with anything usable there, but nonetheless, I'm just going to cut it now on this bandsaw. So I'll be pushing it through with a couple of push sticks, and I like these better than the ones that the manufacturers supply. I'm always a bit nervous about using these plastic push sticks in case they start flying to bits when they make contact with a blade, and it's pretty inevitable when you're using a push stick on a circular saw that it is going to make contact with a blade at some point, and both of these have, and this one's quite thick. It's made out of looks like 3/4 inch marine ply. Quite a nice piece of plywood, actually. I haven't seen a bit of that quality for years, so it must be a pretty old one. Anyway, I'm going to fire up the extractor, which is plugged into the bottom of this machine, and that's a bit noisy, and then I'll just run that cut off on that saw. Well, we've gone through a bit of that worm, so there's still a little bit of worm in the other piece by the look of it. But it doesn't matter. I've got plenty of leeway on this, so I'm just going to move the camera back, and we'll have a look at the pieces that have resulted from ripping it up in the bandsaw. I put the money into the bandsaw when I was doing building restoration because I found it more useful than a circular saw, to be honest. But now we're doing a bit more joinery. I think that's where the circular saw comes into its own. And I just put this camera back here so we can have a look and see what's on the bench. Well, there are three main sections of this piece that we started off with in the last video, and that must be there like that, and this bit. I think was off this edge. So it looks to me if we look at that, like the center joint doesn't look like it's been planed exactly square, and that would be, I did run off a face and an edge on both those pieces, and looks like I didn't square the fence up on the planer very well, so that needs to be done again. I don't want to do it too much because I'm going to lose that matched grain a bit if I do. The one on the right there, the centre piece, the right hand edge of that hasn't been planed at all. That's just been run through the bandsaw. So you can see it isn't straight, but it's not bad. And all I've done there is followed a chalk line down it, and because it didn't have any straight edges on it at all. Okay, so there we are with that one. And I've been trying to set a couple of jigs up on the circular saw so we can dimension the wood in the cross grain, get it all square. And I haven't had a lot of success with that. I'm going to have to come back to it. The reason we cut this up the middle is because the machines that I've got wouldn't be big enough to handle that width of timber, and I think what we're looking at here in total was about a bit over 20 inches, probably by the time I'd taken both edges off, about 22, 23 inches, something like that. We're roughly 3 foot in length, a bit over, and we've got two sets of ends to make for the coffee table. There's one of them, so as you can see that I've got plenty of room on the edge of that to plane up and get these edges exactly square, and helps to have the right kit to do that when you're working in reasonably large sections of timber. And the other reason that cut it up the middle was that the board, if you remember, the board was quite badly cut, and so it's sort of shaped like that, and that's because the board was plane sawn. So I just to show you, if you don't know what that means, that most trees, if we take that as a section of a tree, then that's been sawn through and through. If you look at the top and the bottom of it, it shows, just as an illustration of what the board is liable to do if it isn't stacked out properly in the yard. And sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't, but you know, it's important to dry the timber out properly. And this timber has been stored at 800 feet above sea level, so it's often in a low cloud, and so its moisture content is probably a little bit higher than it should have been. Now, if you don't plane saw it, the alternative way of doing it is to quarter saw it. So there's a section of the tree, and that tree will be chopped down its vertical and its horizontal axes, and then the wood is cut from the center out to the edge, and that gives you a much more stable board, although it gives you a lot more wastage. So you're throwing a bit more away, but you're getting a more stable board. Now with oak, you're getting something else as well. I just want to show you that because it's quite important to joiners and cabinet makers in particular when they're working with timber to get the best out of the grain. Now you can see This grain is what I'm looking for. So it's got a lovely figure of grain, and it's just sort of turning a little bit brown, this oak. So that would be the effect of a little bit of fungus or something getting into the tree and spreading through the structure of the grain. Now, what I'm going to do is lift this left-hand board up like this. And if we look down this edge, you can see that golden fleck in the grain there, and that's called the medullary ray, and it's part of the structure of oak. And you really get that in a very pronounced way if you quarter-saw the boards, but you don't get it much if you're plane sawing it. Of course, would depend on the way that the tree is put in the mill. But basically, if you want to see the medullary ray, as a lot of joiners and cabinet makers do want to, then you got to quarter saw it really. So that would give us, if we'd done that, that would give us a completely different look to the board. And I'm just showing you that. These boards came plane sawn because they came from a mill where a guy was taking a lot of hedgerow trees out, and I guess that's what this one was. And he had his own mill, which would have been a band mill with the blade mounted horizontally on two big wheels, so like a bandsaw on its side, if you like. And he was converting his own wood. And I bought several trailer loads from him at the time, and there was some very, very nice grain in it, but none of that timber would have been quarter sawn. Almost all of it was oak as well, because I was down in Devon, and there are a lot of oak trees in Devon, and there still are. I'm happy to say so. Yeah, it's a nice figure of grain, and it should look really good in the coffee table. And going to proceed with this when I set the circular saw up and mark the timber out, and we'll have a look at it again then.